Okay, folks, I believe in my heart that we are live. In fact, I believe that we may have gone live a few seconds ago, and that you may be hearing some chatter from me complaining about the LinkedIn Live interface, but that's not important. What is important is that we've got a good number of people joining for the SigNoz community call. Oh, I love this so much. It's great to see people showing up. I've got Pranay with me here, and our goal today is to talk about the Traces Explorer and talk about exploring traces in depth. And this is super exciting for me because I think at a very general level, for a long time, we've seen OpenTelemetry rising as this really fantastic way to gather and transmit data. But what's so exciting about this is that having open source tools to really get deep into what it is that you've collected, that I won't say it's been a missing piece, but this has been an area of growth for the open source community for a little while.
Yeah, I think this is also something which we have been looking forward to shift for a long time, tying together different things. Hey, Daman. So yeah, excited to share this with the community. By the way, I see Daniel and Mustaza. If you just want to say hi, feel free to. I would love to learn like who all are there in the call today.
Yeah, folks, feel free to unmute and say hello. We're very happy to have. Oh my gosh, this is great. Very happy to have you all showing up. I won't fault you if you just want to listen. For me, it's not too early in the morning, but there are times when I'm like, look, I just wanted to come and learn things. I didn't want to have to like get on stage and say hi. Oh, we have a couple people unmuted. Go ahead and say hello.
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name's Daman. Not so familiar face in the community because I just only recently started contributing. Have contributed a couple of things on the front end side and still continuing on a couple of issues. Mostly joining in as an open source enthusiast. I like contributing to open source projects for hobby. I've contributed to projects like Kubernetes, CloudStack, Trino, a bunch of others. So just here to have fun and learn.
Awesome.
Yeah, nice to have you here.
And someone I love seeing a little bit on the Slack, seeing you contributing. And if you ever want to like write about that to encourage other like first time contributors, we'd love to post that on the blog to talk about. I just feel like we have a good community here, so it's great to share with people. Like, hey, if you want to get a first commit in or start contributing, this is a place to do it.
Sure, sounds like a good idea. If there's anything I want to write, I'll definitely let you know.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Anyone else want to hop on stage and say hi? Sorry, you were done. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Cool. I think we're good. So, let's get started. Nika, what do you think?
Do you want to go ahead and grab screen share?
Yeah, let me do that. Give me a moment.
I'm going to try stopping my share just in case that blocks you.
Yeah, I'm just setting things up here.
Putting a live streaming, folks. Very excited to be sending the stream out to a few more people, so that's been really nice for us. Of course, it's new settings and new config for us also.
Yeah, I think we have been trying to do LinkedIn Live. Let's see how this goes this time. But
what's so fantastic is actually having the community be excited about it. Like, it's cool to see a little bit of response on Reddit and see other people sharing the invite and stuff. All right. Yeah,
cool.
I
so
got the screen share going.
Are you able to see this in the LinkedIn Live?
So LinkedIn Live can be lagged by like a minute and 30 seconds. So I will let you know if it's not showing up, but it looks like it's streaming okay.
Okay, cool. So in this short demo, I'll primarily focus on the traces and the logs Explorer pages, which we recently shipped. So just to give you an overview, in SigNoz, you have like all the three signals in place where we have traces, we have logs, we have dashboards where you can create all your infrastructure metrics, and then you have alerts, which you can create and then set up alerts for signals, right? In this demo, let's focus on the traces part. So this is the standard view we had for traces, where you can see different traces coming up, and then you can filter it here. What we have recently built is this new Trace Explorer page, which is what we'll focus on, right? So, so the main idea behind this Trace Explorer page was to really bring out the power of the data which people are sending through OpenTelemetry, and then be able to filter it and slice and dice in different ways, right? So if you have a look at it, there's a search filter where you can, as soon as you click, you can see different attributes which are coming up. And then you have different aggregations options, different group by options here, right? And then you can start adding multiple queries. So you can add one queries, or you can add multiple queries and create formulas on top of those queries, right? I'll take a quick example of this and then show you how it really works, right? For example, if you have traces coming in and then you want to filter it based, say, a particular service name, right? So let's say you want to filter traces which are originating from a particular service name. You can just go ahead, and then it will show you suggestions on which are the services available. And what you can go ahead is just go ahead and search and run this query. And what you see here below is like the list of traces which are being shown here are now filtered based only on that service, right? So right out of the box, you can filter based on these attributes. Now, this can become very powerful. For example, here you have equal to operators, but we also provide a lot more operators. So you can go equal to, not equal to, like, not like. So even you can do things like not in, right? For example, if you have a set of components and you want to exclude certain type of components, you can just select that and then enter, and then this will filter those components which are not part of this, right? So all those type of filterings, equal to, not in, contains, like, all those gets very powerful. So you can very tightly filter what you are looking for or what you're not looking for, right? So this is like the basic level of filtering which people can use, and then start filtering the traces. Now, what you can also do is you can group these traces based on different attributes. So there is one set of filters where you do filtering, and then now you can also do group by based on things. So for example, you want to group by based on components. What it immediately does is it creates a list of like a time series view here, and shows you how many traces are present which correspond to this component, right, and to these filters. So this helps you understand, okay, for each type of component, and here we have filtered based on component. Let's just remove this component and then run this query again. For each type of component, how many traces are happening. What you can also see here is different type of aggregation options. So apart from standard things like count, average, etc., you can also get into P99, P50 percentiles. For example, if you have suppose you want to do P75 of a particular field, suppose you want to find the P75s of durations of spans, you can just select duration nano. So nano is like by default, OpenTelemetry has nano as the data, like as the unit in which they send data. So if you select P75 or duration nano, you can see the duration, P75 duration of this type of traces being filtered here, right? So what basically this helps you understand is that, okay, for a particular type of service, for different type of components, what is the sort of P75 or what is the duration percentile which you're seeing?
Yeah.
So
Sorry, is it okay if I make comments, or do you want to just
yeah.
zoom through it? Just
No, sure.
This really speaks to me because having worked so long in like the observability space, you see things. I mean, the polar opposites I can think of are like a financial services team on one side and like an e-commerce team on the other side, where the e-commerce team really cares about how almost everybody is performing, but of course they want to filter by action or by a single parameter, because while they want their storefront to run great, it's that checkout cart process, right, that they're really stressed about, right? And so they just want to filter by that, but then they want to see it really for everybody. You know, what's the 99th percentile? That's really what they care about. On the other side, right, financial services very often is like, hey, I only care about those very slowest transactions because they are often the things that represent like updating the most records or whatever else. Like, those are the things that they care about. So the difference being like, hey, I want to know if the average dips at all. That's all I really care about, versus like, no, if even one person has like an extremely long transaction time, I want to see it right away. Those are just very different use cases, and this supports like either method of analysis.
Yeah, exactly. And especially what you've seen in case of users who have business customers, many times they want to track duration or percentiles for a particular type of user or particular type of customer ID. And in that scenario, this becomes very powerful. So basically you can track P99 of a particular customer ID here. So if you pass customer ID as a tag here, you can just filter based on that and be able to see the P99 of that person, what that customer is seeing. And generally for businesses which have sometimes SLAs with other customers, this gets pretty powerful. Yeah, so this is sort of the main use case. Now you can get a lot more creative here. You can group by based on like multiple things here, and then all those things will start getting reflected here. And then you have more detailed aggregation options. For example, by default, this is 60, but we can give you options on like, suppose you want to aggregate every 10 seconds or you want to aggregate every 300 seconds, you can do that and then adjust your chart based on that, right? So this is sort of the core flow for the query builder. And then here you can also add multiple queries. So this is just one query which we talked about, but then suppose you are looking for some other filter. For example, you want to filter based on a particular DB name, you can just run that query and then that will get reflected here. So you can have multiple query getting reflected here. The interesting thing from here, what you can do is, and which we have really worked hard to sort of support, is go directly from the queries which you see here to dashboards and alerts directly. So for example, you see for a particular service name, the P75 duration, right? But suppose you want to set alerts on top. So you see this, but now you want to use it for future. You want to be able to set alerts if something goes wrong or this threshold crosses, right? So just on a single click, you can go from there and come here and be able to say set certain thresholds here. So you see the same filters which we saw there and start seeing the graphs directly here. And you can set certain threshold, like for example, you can set up 400 million. So as of now it's manual, but we are fixing it to make it more intuitive so that you can just set thresholds directly based on the value shown here, right?
Oh, that previewer is nice though. I'm glad to get like just a line to make sure I wasn't off by, logarithmically and setting my alert threshold way too high or way too low.
Yeah, so basically you see the chart and then you can put a threshold here and see like, okay, is this threshold making sense or not? And be able to set alerts directly here. So if you set up let's set up a name. So above 400 milliseconds, and then you just created an alert rule, and boom, like you have that set up in like 2-3 clicks very quickly, right? So I think this is the core flow for the traces. We have the same flow which we can go through for logs. The logs product has a couple of more nuances. So you see the same query builder which has different types of attributes, etc. But then we support multiple options on how you can visualize the logs. So some people want to see their logs as just a raw format. So you can either view like that, or you can see it as a list of logs, or you want to see it in a table view, you can do that. You can choose which are the fields you want to add here. For example, if service name is important for you, then you can add service name here, and that will start getting populated here. And you should be able to see the logs as you want to see here. The time series tab acts similarly. If you add anything based on which you want to add a group by, you should be able to create time series chart based on that, and that would basically give you an idea of how, like, what is the number of log lines which it is showing, or if you select a particular other type of aggregation, you can choose that, and then this time series chart will show it here.
By the way, you're giving away the stuff that I wanted to say for the next community call. That's fine, but I think creating charts from logs remains like a very powerful move. For especially for like a team that's like slowly migrating to OpenTelemetry, can be like a very, very powerful move. So I wanna demo this a little more in our next community call as well, like how you can do this without having to put in like in place any metric listeners at all or any new tracing like that. That part's really powerful. But yeah, it's very cool stuff.
Yeah, I think the one other thing which we also added is this tables view. So until now we had only time series and list view in place, but now you can also, like, basically if you do aggregation based on, say, different parameters, say levels or say service name. I'm not sure if it is here, but you can do different, like add different columns here, and then that shows up as tables here. So if you want to see, for example, like if this data is populated, you will have different labels and service name and the count of logs for each of them, right? So it's just a different form of aggregation, which you can see and be able to visualize your logs based on that.
Yeah, I've seen some examples where it was like, oh, we were like doing like aggregate sales or something. E-commerce is always the example I think of, and then like it ends up with a line plot, which is like not that meaningful, right? Like obviously, like the line plot is monotonically increasing, so like it would just be better to just give a table of results rather than showing a line that you then have to like click on to see like, okay, what number is it though? That's what I really want to know.
Yeah, so line plot basically assumes x-axis, which is line, which is a time axis, while in table it takes sort of that period as the aggregation during which you aggregate. So that's essentially the difference between the time series view and the table view. So if you are, for example, looking for number of log lines in a week based on different sort of axis, then a table view makes more sense. If you are looking for a number of log lines based on like each timestamp, like basically where you want x-axis as the time series, then time series makes more sense.
Yeah, and time series is especially useful with the like multiple querying, right? You're like trying to connect some particular event together in time. just logically. And so yeah, the multiple querying with time series is like that's a really good way to start trying to actually diagnose a problem.
Yeah. Cool. I think anything else we should cover, Nika, or like if anybody has any specific questions, you can take that, I guess. Nika, you're on mute.
So I have these little summary notes, but read these or don't,
Yeah.
folks. These are a little bit, almost a simplification of what we had. But maybe you turned the volume down a while ago, and so you want to just get reminded of the Trace Explorer features here. But do we have any questions? Feel free to hop on the mic or drop a question in chat about these tools, especially about like diving deeper into your trace data. No worries at all. I know this is new stuff, and I'm excited to see what people do with it in the next while. For sure, on our community Slack, which if you're watching this canned a little while later, you'll see a link down below to join our Slack in the video description. I would love to see people's queries they are using, what they've constructed from this, and kind of favorite charts or favorite things that they've revealed. Otherwise, that was most of what I wanted to cover. Oh yeah, go ahead. Unmute.
Yeah. So the query builder that we have in dashboard, is it the same query builder or is it different than this one that we saw?
It's the same.
Same. Okay. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm working on a sort of a feature in the dashboard where I'm trying to add an area chart graph, because right now it has table, time series, and value. So I was wondering if you can just share a sample query that I can use in my test case for area graph. Because so far, what I've been able to write is just add the launch point for that area graph. And I think it requires me to figure out the backend part, like how data comes in, and then I need to create a chart off of that. So if you can share a sample query using value, time series, doesn't matter if it works or not, but.
Sure, let me quickly share something. Nika, can you enable sharing? I think you have disabled sharing.
Let me turn off my share. Yeah, and then you should be able to share.
Okay. So yeah, so I think you're talking about this panel, right?
Yeah.
Yaman?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so basically in dashboards, you can go ahead and add panels. And currently we have 3 types of visualizations which we support. One is the time series, the value, and the table panels. So I think the area chart is nothing but a different version of time series chart only. So
Makes sense.
So if you think about it, it has x-axis and then it has y-axis, where like let's just try to plot something here. Let's say we plot this chart here. So if you see all the controls here are the same as what we have in the in the Trace Explorer page. It's just that so if you see there's a filter here, there's an aggregation option here, there's a group by option here, and like these are some of more conditions. The same options are available here. There's a filter here, there's a group by option here, and there's some more aggregation options here. So the time series chart and the area chart, the only difference is that in area chart, if there are multiple charts, they will stack over one on the other.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if we have a time series chart here, so this is let's say so this is, let's try to use a bigger time, so it's a fixed, okay, let's not use count. let's use something else. Yeah. So okay. So we have a time series chart here, right? Now let's say, and this is a CPU chart. Now let's say we have another chart. If we plot it here, it will just plot this. Okay, so it plotted this chart here, and then these two are charts now, right?
Okay.
But in area chart, what should happen is that one chart should get stacked on top of other. Generally, the use case there is that, okay, you have, so one of the typical use cases, a call takes, for example, 100% time, and you're trying to divide it between how much time the call took for example, in web calls, and how much took in the DB call, and how much it took in the external call, right? So one of the use case for area chart is to try to divide 100% into, say, 10% was taken in the web call, 20% was taken in the external call, and 30% was taken in the DB call, right? So in that scenario, it makes sense to sort of stack it as a area chart.
Makes sense. And I think this is a good example I can use.
Yeah, so you can just
form a test case. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe in the issue you can add this as the use case, because that's like one of the typical use cases we have seen users ask for, that, hey, I want to see a breakdown of how much time is being taken by different type of charts, basically.
Okay, makes sense.
I see.
We have a contributor wrote in with another question, a really good one, right? I'd like to know if there's a way to add alerts based on exceptions, like the number of exceptions of a certain type have crossed, say, 5, and that does seem doable. Yeah, we would just be querying where presumably our exceptions are logged, so we use it from the logs explorer. Or Pranay, if you have a better thought about the best way to do that, let me know. Oh, hey, thanks for hopping on camera. Yeah,
hey,
please.
You just, do you want to just play? Yeah.
Yeah, so the logs explorer seemed a little overwhelming to add something like as basic as exceptions, especially when there's a separate exceptions tab. But I couldn't, add something like alerts directly from that particular section. And when I actually went to the alert section, there was an option for exceptions, but it again went to the query explorer.
Okay, yeah.
Let me try to understand if you. So you came here, you're trying to create alerts, or you're?
Yeah, I'm trying to create an alert.
Okay, and you're trying to create an alert based on exceptions, or you're trying to create alert based on logs?
Exceptions.
Okay, so so you are here then, right?
Yeah, so there's already an exceptions tab on the left panel, but it would be great if I can maybe add alerts directly based on something that I see here.
Oh, okay. Got it. So you're saying that.
To do it?
Got it. I understood your problem. So you're saying there are already exceptions which we show here. How do we create? Is there an easy way to create alerts from here? Yeah, I don't think we have gone there yet. So the exceptions use case till now for what we are focused on was that in traces data, if you send exceptions details there, then we show you in a sort of different visualization, and then from here you can just directly see the stack traces. That's like the first goal, and the second goal is, can you see this in context of the traces? So if you click this, you see this in context of the traces, right?
Yeah, I explored this. This is pretty impressive. But I wanted to know if there is.
Yeah. So what is the exceptions? What is the use case you have here? For example, what type of alerts would you want to create?
So we are a startup in a very early stage. So we were trying out this self-hosted solution for SigNoz, and like a lot of places we don't have maybe we missed out something writing test cases, or maybe something that's not tested, and it ends up throwing an exception once in a while.
Sure.
I would like to be alerted right then and there when it happens. So I know that I can go and check it out, but I'm not sure
Okay.
if there's.
So you're saying if there is the exceptions which is happening here, how do we create? I think it should be pretty easy to create alerts from here itself. Like if you go to exceptions here, there should be something.
Yeah, I couldn't find it there, so that's why I asked.
Okay, cool. Let me check. Let me check on this. I think you can for sure create alerts based on exceptions. Maybe you need to do some more work here to figure that out on how to. I'll check that and like we can get back on that.
What might be rad as a feature is to be like, there's a thing now like, hey, view this in the trace viewer, is to say like, hey, create alert based on this exception, and it's like got like part of the query written in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be a cool area for growth. Doesn't seem that fantastical. Seems doable.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll write it up for GitHub. I think works well. Luis asks, good morning from Colombia. Is it possible to create an alert based on the latency metric of the application using the P99 or P90? Which, yeah, totally is.
Yeah, I think we just showed that demo, right? So you should be able to.
So this is like just creating a metrics-based alert.
Yeah, so you can just.
Thank you so much for writing in with questions, Lisa. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so you can just go here, do service name equal to like whatever service you want to do. And then here, instead of count, you can, for example, say choose P99. And the field which you are looking for is duration nano. So this is the field in which OpenTelemetry sends all the span latency data. And if you just run this query here, it will send you something. So as of now, so we are fixing this, but as of now, this data is in terms of nanoseconds. So 620 million nanosecond, which is essentially 620 millisecond. Like this is something which we are fixing now. So it should read 620 millisecond. And so now you can, for example, if you want to set up alerts, say in 600 milliseconds. So you can just put 600 on 3, 1, 2, 3. Let me see if I got it right. So you can just do this, run query, and yeah. So this is like whenever your P99 of this crosses 600 millisecond, which is basically 600 millisecond, this should fire an alert. Is this what you're thinking of?
It looks close, but Luis tells us that's not what you're imagining. It seems like it covers it pretty well.
Yeah, or just
so is that going to be the overall time for the trace, or is it going to be the time for individual spans within the trace?
So this is like the spans which are part of this service and the P99 of those span. If you want to filter on a particular operation, I think you can filter on particular API or operations. Let's see what is there. I think it is called DB name or some DB operation or something. So if you want to get more specific, you can do more specific filtering here, and then based on that, you can add alert thresholds there.
Cool. Thank you so much, folks. It's nice to dive a little bit deeper into how this stuff is working. If we have other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll put up this little closing graphic. folks, do join us on our community Slack. We have great discussions there every day. Really fantastic. Great place to get help. Otherwise, we should be back next week. We'll have a sort of like a webinar format for next week where we're kind of going through a topic, more general OTel, and it'll also be shared on these like live platforms. And if you're taking a look at this after the live, and it's not live anymore, you're just watching the instant replay, take a look down below for links to our documentation and to the GitHub where you see a full write-up of these changes. What's so cool is that we're sharing this Traces Explorer, and there've been like 2 releases since, both of which have like new features and new cool stuff. So that's very nice for me as the gal who's supposed to go around and tell people that stuff. It's like, hey, I have to share. Pranay, other final thoughts?
No, I think we are good. I think thanks for joining, folks. It's pretty interesting, and like thanks for your comments and questions. It's great to see people are actually using like the features which you build. And one really cool thing about SigNoz is that we shipped like 2 weeks back, and like in 2 weeks we start seeing comments on Reddit that hey, like this feature we are using, things like that, and like this is helping us do things like that. So keep following that. I think that gives us a lot of encouragement on like what to build next and where to take the product forward.
Yeah, we take it seriously, and it really has been an amazing community to join into. So thank you so much for being so welcoming, and we will talk